April 30th at 11 a.m. Calling the roll for the Board of Control meeting, April 30th. We have Joe Nani serving as an alternate for Nan Baker.
Here.
Trevor Mackler serving as an alternate for Dan Brady.
Here.
Dale Miller. Here. Armin Budish.
Here.
Dennis Kennedy. Here. Lenora Lockett. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Minutes from April 23rd. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Okay. Tabled item.
The first tabled item that we have is item BC 2018-247. It's a two-part item. A, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation on requisition 42353 to Albert Herman Draperies, Inc. in the amount of $47,727.54, and it's for the purchase of solar shades for the Cleveland Police Headquarters located at 1300 Ontario Street. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Matt Reimer representing the Department of Public Works. When we presented this item last time, there were a couple of questions. Specifically, the task was to compare the pricing that we were receiving with this requested procurement with our past procurements in 2017 with the same vendor. I'm happy to report that we do have those results, and I'll explain here. So for the current procurement, we're buying 207 window treatment units of this kind, the solar shade kind, and that comes at a cost of $230 per unit on average. That's for delivery and installation. Our major purchase of these back in May of 2017 for the Juvenile Justice Center was for 536 units at $383 average cost per unit, and that was just delivered, not installed. So we are getting a much more competitive price, even vendor to vendor, or even with this vendor for this procurement compared to the past. Some things that you can't account for, the customization that takes place in different facilities, but I did also go back and compare like sizes of windows to each other. Specifically, the price that we're getting with this procurement is $5.52 per square foot of a common window size that both of those projects had in common, compared to $6.58 cost per square foot at the JJC one that we had. And again, this one with the police building includes installation because it's a little bit simpler of a setup than we had over at the JJC. Look forward to answering any more questions on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah, Mr. Meckler.
I just want to say thanks for getting that information that we requested last time. I know when it was on the agenda the last time, we had the discussion about potentially doing informal requests for pricing. Did we do that, or just based on the pricing and the standardization between all the county buildings that you're trying to achieve, you didn't decide to do that?
All those points still valid, and we did look at our timing, but we did have time as this week went on to put it out again. So it went out informally on the business day of April 24th, which was Tuesday of last week. It went to 14 vendors via BuySpeed. Those are 14 vendors that were confirmed to have emails in the system, and then no other bids were received from that. That does match our past efforts on this. Back in March of 2017 and August of 2017, there were smaller, less than $5,000 each procurements, both of which were out for multiple business days to 14 vendors also, and no other bidder other than this bidder provided a response. So there is a history there for those kind of results that we saw this week.
Okay. Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes, and thank you for doing the backup work.
Thank you for your support.
New items.
I'd like to call the roll for Mike Dever. Next item BC 2018-263, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with Makovich and Pusti Architects, Inc. for general architectural engineering services, and it's for the period February 22nd, 2017 through February 21st, 2020, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $185,700.
Good morning. Matt Reimer again for the Department of Public Works. This contract amendment request is to Makovich and Pusi Architects, one of our general architect engineering services contracts. This amendment request is for dollars for capacity to the contract. The time remains the same. We need this particular vendor to perform additional final design and construction engineering services on projects for which they're already continuing as the designer of record for. Two specific projects, our Virgil Brown roof replacement and our Jail 1 fourth floor design to support the regionalization of jails.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller.
Does this increase in requested funding reflect a variance from expectation?
I would say, to answer that, yes, Councilman, because we've inserted projects that we didn't know when we awarded this contract back in 2017. So we typically have multiple architect engineering contracts that we expect will handle the execution of the capital improvement plan and any other assessments and things like that that we have planned. So when we get additional projects added to the plate and those design or we learn more about the designs that we have planned, as we have in both these cases, we look to find a way to do those projects as well with our existing contracts.
So it sounds like it has more to do with there being more projects than with projects costing more than we anticipated.
That's
Is that correct?
100% accurate, yes, Councilman.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is a two-part item. Item number BC 2018-264, Department of Information Technology. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42088, which will result in an award recommendation to Diversitech Resources Incorporated in the amount of $74,015.75 for Tableau desktop professional server and software maintenance for various county agencies. And it's for the period May 26, 2018 through May 25, 2019. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, board members. Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. This purchase order is via state term. Along with the state term, we also went to 6 other vendors under that state term number. Their responses were higher than Diversitech. We also looked at GSA scheduling, and GSA scheduling was significantly higher than Diversitech's quote. In regards to the award itself, the purchase order, this Tableau is for maintenance. It's 1 server license maintenance and 24 desktop maintenance support. And this Tableau is the industry-leading business intelligence software that is used by Department of IT, HHS, and the prosecutor's office in regards to all the raw data that's collected through their various applications to put it into some sort of an analysis form and report form that can make it useful in their decision-making.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. McAleer?
Mr. Chair, not a question, just a comment about the last line there where it says a full competitive process was not utilized. I understand why we put that there, but I think just for the record, the state did a full competitive process, so really it was publicly procured at some point. So I just maybe if we could consider rewording that, because I think it's important for the public to, as they're reading these agendas, to realize this was actually competitively bid, maybe not at the county level, but at a state level.
That's accurate.
I think that's a very good comment. Can we do that on this end going forward?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-265, Department of Human Resources. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 40496, which will result in an award recommendation to Health Management Systems, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $19,980. And it's for dependent eligibility review services for the period March 26, 2018 through March 25, 2020. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Holly Woods, excuse me, Director of HR for Benefits and Compensation. So just a note to, there's an incorrect date in the backup material as was just indicated. The contract date will be from 3/26/18. I believe the backup material said November. And I am also requesting this vote contingent on this HMS registering with the IG's office. We will make sure that gets followed up after this meeting today. So we are requesting that Health Management Systems engage in this contract. The primary goal is to engage them in a dependent eligibility review services. Excuse me. If you recall, we started a dependent eligibility review process. It's been about 2 years ago with an open enrollment process, and the goal was to make sure that all of those dependents that were covered under our healthcare plan were rightfully covered under the healthcare plan. So for spouses, that they provide a marriage certificate and proof of relationship. That would be a bill, a tax filing record, something of that nature. For a child, a birth certificate. And again, just the goal of making sure that the correct individuals are covered under our plan and they're rightfully dependents of the employee. We engaged HMS in that we have such a large population, and the nature of submitting those documents, which have confidential information, we want to make sure that we have a vendor that can collect those documents in a secure manner and also handle the amount of employee population that we have. So in July of 2016, an informal proposal process was done. We did look at 3 different vendors at that point. The vendors varied, in some required implementation startup fees, some charge per belly button versus per employee. Currently, HMS charges us per employee, so no matter how many dependents there are, it's one flat cost per employee. And then also just looking at the tenure of the company. Again, because of the size of our population and the dynamics that we have, we wanted to make sure we had a company that was prepared to handle our situation. So, and situation just meaning, again, the size and dynamics that we have. So we are requesting this for HMS, and moving forward, what they would do is provide the dependent audit services for both new hires as well as open enrollment. So open enrollment, if anybody new enrolls in the plan, they would have to provide that documentation for their dependents. And then as we hire new employees, they would have to provide that documentation as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
When is the last time we did a full-scale dependent eligibility review? And at that time, how much did you find in the way of ineligibility?
So it has been since, I think it was the open enrollment for 15 going into 16. And we had, out of that audit, I believe we had, and I can follow up with the numbers, I'm going off of memory here, but I think we had around 300 or so employees come off the plan, employees and dependents. Now, I will say that that number doesn't mean that they were wrongfully covered under the plan. We did this as part of open enrollment, so people also changed insurance, may have no longer carried our insurance. We didn't specifically track if you came off, were they eligible or not eligible, but we did have a large number of employees and dependents come off that plan at the time of that dependent audit. Since that open enrollment full dependent audit, we continue to handle new hires internally. So that dependent audit has continued. So every employee that's employed by the county at this point in time has submitted those documents.
So you're saying then that when you did the last audit, that it's not possible to separate out how many were true audit findings of ineligibility as opposed to changes that occurred around the time of open enrollment?
Correct, and that's because if somebody chose to no longer take county health insurance during open enrollment and they just didn't respond to the audit, they show up as a do not respond. So I can't verify why they didn't respond or if they just didn't respond because they didn't take insurance. So yes, to answer your question, there's some numbers in there that we can't quantify, because if they just dropped insurance and didn't respond to the audit because they were no longer taking it, we can't confirm why they came off the plan.
And going forward, do we plan to do a full audit every year at open enrollment or less often than that?
It would be less often. So our goal now is just to continue auditing. So we have done the entire population, and as new hires come on, they're doing that audit as soon as they sign up for benefits. So at this point in time, every employee that has taken benefits has already been audited. So we'll continue that moving forward. Now, usually about every 5 years, you do a mass audit. You know, one of the things you have to look at is, especially for spouses, we want to make sure that people are still married or if they've been divorced, so having them resubmit those documents. But moving forward, continuous new hire will help us maintain that audit, and then about every 5 years, we'll do a mass audit once again.
Any other questions? Mr. Nani?
In follow-up to Dale's question, I understand that you don't know, what the purpose, what the rationale was for somebody dropping, but if you could provide maybe the year before and the year after, the number of people that dropped, just so we can see what the variance is between those, it might give us a little bit of a picture as to the success.
I can, yes. Now, I would say I wouldn't hinge that so much on the previous year because we have made some significant changes and, with
Something to
Metro
compare.
and some other things. So while you can compare those numbers, you also have to understand that there have been some significant plan changes where people could have changed
Gotcha.
plans as well. So if you see a significant number, it may not just be representative of a dependent audit.
And then the other question is, I noticed the contract starts 3/26/18.
Correct.
Has any work been done before this?
At this point in time, any new hires are submitting their paperwork directly to my benefits team. Now, again, they have worked for us prior to this under our consultants contract and assisting with open enrollment and all those other processes. But at this point in time, we're maintaining the new hires until we get this approved.
So I was just wondering if we should change the date to sometime after today. Would that make sense in order for it to match up with what we're actually approving? I don't know.
The actual contract that was signed reflects this date, so they would have to
I
go
gotcha.
back and.
Okay, I understand. Okay. We'll keep it like that. Thanks.
Any other questions? Mr. McAleer?
Holly, does this contract allow for a full audit at some point in either, say, 19 or 20? Or would that come after this?
It would come after this contract, yes. Yes, this one is really just for continuous new hires and then anyone new enrolling for open enrollment. But by the time we would get to another full-scale audit, we'd be under a different contract.
One more follow-up question.
Councilman Miller?
How much would it cost us to do a full audit?
I can give you an estimate right now.
That would be sufficient.
Okay, they charge. I gotta get a calculator because those are some big numbers that I'm not good at offhand. So give me 1 second here. Now, again, and I would look at, we would be negotiating that in a contract, so, they could always look at some type of adjustment because it's a larger scale project. If I were to just base that on a per employee cost, and I'm just gonna go ahead and estimate based on 8,000 employees, it could be around $144,000.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Just to
Mr.
follow up on
Nani?
that, normally what we do, though, is roll that cost into the supplemental benefits selection. Isn't that what we did last time, where that there wasn't an actual cost to the county for the eligibility audit itself?
So it was covered under, when you say supplemental, so the full benefit dependent eligibility audit that was performed was actually part of our consultant's contract.
Oh, okay.
So we did not pay that initial dependent eligibility audit. It was part of their services. It's not part of their annual, services moving forward.
I thought the cost, though, the actual whoever paid it, I thought the cost came out of the allowing the company to come in to sell the supplemental benefits.
So that was when we had benefit educators come in and actually, it wasn't the audit. It was having the benefit educators coming in and meeting with employees to do open enrollment.
Okay.
It was different.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, the dependent audit, although that happened at the same time, it was completely separate from that.
Are there any further questions?
I have
Mr. Kennedy?
one. Holly, so you said that no work's been done on this contract till now, right? So we don't owe them any money for any work that's already been performed,
At
correct?
this point in time, so we have been working on this contract with them since October, November. So we did have an open enrollment process in there where we've been working with them for about 7 months and trying to get this contract. HMS went through a change in leadership, got a new president. With all the documents and everything that have to be submitted, they were redoing all of those forms. So we have some previous cost in there that will be under this contract, but it'll come forward when the contract's renewed.
So of the 19,000 here, how much do we already owe?
I'll have to double check on that. I don't have that number offhand.
Okay.
But at this point in time, all the work now moving forward until this or a contract is approved is being done in-house. It's minimal at this point because it's just with new hires. But I can double check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, can I
Further
ask one more question? Sorry.
Mr. McAleer.
You said this would be contingent upon them registering with the IG's office?
Yes, excuse me, and coming in here, I was notified that it didn't look like they were in there already. So I was gonna go back and verify if the name was a little different in the system, or if they're not in there, that this vote would be contingent on them registering.
Lenore, if you know the answer, but if they were a subcontractor, in essence, to our consultant in the past, would they have to be registered or not necessarily?
Lenore Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity, because our contract would have been with the prime would have been required to meet the county's requirements.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Oh, yes, that's correct. I move on that this be approved contingent on HMS registering with the IG if they're not already. Who was the second? Councilman Miller seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-266, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Centers, Inc. for multisystemic therapy and multisystemic therapy problem sexual behavior program services. And it's for the period July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2018, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2019, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $450,000.
Good morning, Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is an amendment to our Applewood contract for our traditional MST services as well as our MST PSB services. We do pay for this out of our targeted reclaim dollars, so this is only for our felony level adjudicated youth.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller.
I know this is an area that's difficult to treat. Do we have any data on how effective this therapy is?
I could get some to you.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-267, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42246, which will result in an award recommendation to Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center in the amount not to exceed $125,239.72 for the Latina Domestic Violence Project in connection with the fiscal year 2017 Stop Violence Against Women Act Block Grant. And it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP expansion.
Good morning, Jeff Harriman with Department of Public Safety and Justice Services. This item is to fund the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center project from our awarded Violence Against Women Block Grant. Their program serves Spanish-speaking victims of domestic abuse and their families, provides 24-hour helpline, as well as face-to-face advocacy, and also provides funding for a confidential safe house for victims who need more than temporary shelter.
Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is also a two-part item, item BC 2018-268, again, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42245, which will result in an award recommendation to Cleveland Rape Crisis Center in the amount not to exceed $66,972.50 for the Direct Services for Survivors project in connection with the fiscal year 2017 Stop Violence Against Women Act Block Grant, and it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Jeff Harriman, Public Safety and Justice Services. This item is to fund the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center program funded off our Violence Against Women Block Grant. This program serves Latino and Latina survivors of sexual abuse and rape, provides a 24-hour hotline, face-to-face advocacy, and also provides in responding to calls from police departments to assist with incidents.
Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-269, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42406, which will result in an award recommendation to Celix S. Inc., doing business as LSAG North America, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $42,875, and it's for maintenance, support, and extension of warranty on an automated license plate reader, and it's for the period April 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2019, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Jeff Harriman, Public Safety. This item is to contract with Celex for maintenance on the current mobile automated license plate readers. There are 49 units throughout Region 2 or Homeland Security Region 2 here in the state of Ohio. 26 are in Cuyahoga County communities. These LPR readers provide the ability to read license plates for criminal activity and terrorist-related activity.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. McAleer?
Could you just confirm the funding source? Because I know the detail here says enterprise fund, and I think the backup might mention the general fund.
Yes, so the funding for this comes off of the $5 fee that's collected for, I believe, from the courts throughout the county, municipal courts.
And then one follow-up question to that. I know you mentioned the 5 counties.
Correct.
Do we only pay for the maintenance out of that $5 fee for the ones in Cuyahoga County?
No, this is for this is a regional project, so this maintenance is for all 49 units throughout the region.
Even though the fee is only for collected in.
That's the way I understand it. Correct. I could look into that more if that would.
That would just be
a question that you have. Yeah, I can get clarification on that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Councilman Miller?
Are these readers put up at fixed locations where they take pictures of cars going by? Is that?
These specifically, these 49 are mobile, so they're actually attached to law enforcement vehicles.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-270, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42048, which will result in an award recommendation to Golden Ciphers, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $42,299.58, and is for the Rites of Passage project in connection with the fiscal year 2017 Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Disproportionate Minority Contact Title II Formula Grant Program, and it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Yes, Jeff Harriman, Public Safety. This item is to fund the Golden Ciphers Rites of Passage program through our awarded Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant. Golden Ciphers program provides group therapy and a mentorship program, provides employment training, and serves approximately 75 youth.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Part item number BC 2018-271, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42287, which will result in an award recommendation to Golden Ciphers, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $10,500, and is for the CISA Rites of Passage Program in connection with the fiscal year 2016 Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention Disproportionate Minority Contact Title II Formula Grant Program, and it's for the period April 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2018, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Jeff Harriman with Public Safety. This item is funding a Golden Ciphers Rites of Passage program through our 2016 Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant. This award comes out of releasing a supplemental RFP to reallocate some money that went unspent from our original 16 awards. This program will provide a team summit and a weekend Rites of Passage program during this summer. And again, they expect to serve approximately 75 youth.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? For Dever, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item BC 2018-272, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award on requisition 42288 and enter into an agreement with City of Lyndhurst in the amount not to exceed $5,872.68 for the SEL Collaboration School District Law Enforcement and Community Partners Program in connection with the fiscal year 2016 Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Disproportionate Minority Contact Title II Formula Grant Program, and it's for the period April 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2018.
Jeff Harriman with Public Safety. This item, again, is supplemental funding from our FY16 Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant. This, again, like the last item, is a funding that we reallocated for some unspent funds. This project specifically is to fund an initiative by the South Euclid and Lyndhurst schools where they're going to partner with the local police departments there to provide planned activities with approximately 25 youth. They're going to have two events throughout this summer where the events will feature discussions dealing with family issues, peer pressure, and challenges facing today's youth. And they'll also discuss the negative impact of how arrests can impact a youth's future. And again, if I didn't say it, they're expecting to serve approximately 25 youth this summer.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Oh, I see a question. Oh, a comment. Yes.
Yeah, Lenore Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. I'll be recusing myself. My son attends South Euclid Lyndhurst schools.
Great. Any, Mr. Kennedy?
What would the expenses, are these to like pay for the police officers' time?
Correct, yes, yeah.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item BC 2018-273, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award on requisition 42244 and enter into an agreement with City of Bedford Municipal Court in the amount not to exceed $24,526.88 to staff a domestic violence court liaison to provide victim referral services for the Domestic Violence Victims Program in connection with the fiscal year 2017 Stop Violence Against Women Act Block Grant, and it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018.
Jeff Harriman with Public Safety. This item is to fund the victim advocate for the City of Bedford Court through our 2017 Violence Against Women Block Grant. The victim advocate provides assistance to those victims who whose perpetrators have cases appearing before the Bedford Court.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-274, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Mental Health Services for Homeless Persons, Inc., doing business as Frontline Service for temporary housing services for single adults and youth in Cuyahoga County in connection with the North Point Transitional Housing Program located at 1550 Superior Avenue. And it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, to expand the scope of services effective January 1st, 2018, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $200,000.
Good morning, Bob Math with the Department of Health and Human Services on behalf of the Office of Homeless Services. This is an amendment to our existing contract with North Point to provide, shelter and services to homeless single males. Last year, we asked North Point if they could, or Frontline, if they could serve youth, and they started to serve youth at the end of the contract year. And then after serving a handful of youth, they recognized they required some more specialized services. So they indicated that, the needs of the youth are considerably different than the homeless males that were in the shelter. So this is an amendment that, for $200,000, it covers the cost for them to continue providing service to homeless youth between the age of 18 and 24.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
I have a question about the way this is described, since this is expanding the scope of services. Why would the original range of dates not be earlier than 1/1/2018?
It's my understanding, Councilman Miller, that when the RFP was issued, it was strictly for single male adults, and we awarded the contract on that. And then at the end of during that transition, while we're waiting for that, through this RFP process, at the end of that process, we indicated that, Office of Homeless Services asked them to continue to serve youth. So I think the additional $200,000 was allocated by council in the budget. It was after the RFP was issued. It's not my understanding.
Okay.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-275, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, recommending an award on requisition 41766 and enter into a contract with Janus Hotels and Resorts, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $14,785.50 for room rental, catering, and audiovisual services for the 2018 Substitute Caregiver Training Conference, and is for the period May 17, 2018 through May 19, 2018.
Good morning, Bob Math, on behalf of Division of Children and Family Services. This is DCFS puts on annual substitute caregivers conference for foster families, foster parents. It's a collaborative effort with the North Central Ohio Regional Training Center. It's state dollars that covers the cost of the 3-day conference. We put out an informal bid, and we went with the lowest bidder. And this is Janus is the parent company for the Holiday Inn down on Rockside Road.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. McAleer?
Well, I know we have this discussion every year,
Yes.
and you did the informal bid, but did we talk with the convention center? Or is it just for parking purposes and stuff, you didn't want to have it downtown?
Part of the specifications for the families is parking was an issue.
Okay.
And that was in the bid specs, they indicated, free parking.
Further questions?
They should come on every year. I'm going to have it 3 more times probably, I suspect.
Just touch upon it.
All right.
Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-276, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, recommending an award on requisition 41800 and to enter into a contract with Janus Hotels and Resorts, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $12,188.16 for room rental, catering, and audiovisual services in connection with the annual Supervisor Training Conference. And it's for the period June 28th, 2018 through June 29th, 2018.
Bob Math on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services. This is the annual supervisory training conference that DCFS holds in conjunction with the North Central Ohio Regional Training Center. Again, these are state grants. These are state dollars. So, staff from contiguous counties can also participate in this event. And again, this was put out for an informal bid, and we went with the lowest bidder again.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-277, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, recommending an award on RQ 41767 and enter into a contract with Janus Hotels and Resorts, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $7,950 for catering, photo booth, DJ, and related services in connection with the Substitute Caregiver Dinner being held on May 18th, 2019.
Again,
I'm sorry.
Again, Bob Math with the Division of Children and Family Services. This is, as part of the conference, this is the dinner that DCFS hosts for the participants in the caregiver conference. The reason we did a separate bid, DCFS was not, they indicated that we could hold a dinner at any location. It didn't have to necessarily be the same location where the conference was held, because there's additional people do come down for the dinner that don't attend the conference. So again, we put this out for an informal bid, and this is we went with the lowest bidder.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing, oh, Councilman Miller.
As Councilwoman Baker pointed out in her questions, should this be May 18th, 2018 as opposed to 19?
Yes, it's a typo.
Okay. And also, it says in the answers to questions that last year's dinner was for $19,442, and this year's is for $7,950. How were we able to achieve that large of a cost savings?
It's a fair question. In part of the bid specifications we put out, we indicate approximately how many people will attend. I don't recall how many people they expected to attend last year versus this year. I think in the bid specification we put down, approximately 125 to 150 attendees. So I think that, last year they may have put more folks down. Mm-hmm. It may have been a greater attendance. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it is considerably cheaper.
Okay, great.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 278, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42219, which will result in an award recommendation to Dr. Derek Greenfield in the amount not to exceed $4,000 for speaker services in connection with the annual Caregiver Training Conference being held on May 17th, 2018, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Bob Math with Division of Children and Family Services. Leadership at DCFS had heard this Dr. Greenfield speak at another function. They were very impressed with him, so they approached him, indicating if he could be the keynote speaker at the conference. So this is the cost of bringing him in to speak at the conference, and he's hosting also a 3-hour breakout session. And he will, one of his title of his session is Building the Inclusive Caregivers Community Together. So, his presentation is very relevant given the nature of the conference. And I think the folks that have heard him before were very impressed with, he's a motivational speaker as well. And they thought it would be an appropriate speaker for the conference.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. McAleer?
Bob, does this include his travel as well, or will the travel be set? Are we paying for his travel separate?
I'd have to double check. I don't know. This is the total fee for him, so there's no additional cost. I'd have to double check, Trevor.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-279, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Senior and Adult Services, recommending an award on requisition 42019 and enter into a contract with Janus Hotels and Resorts, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $6,712.50 for catering and audiovisual services in connection with the annual Senior Center Innovation Forum being held on May 16th, 2018.
Good afternoon. Paul Porter, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Division of Senior and Adult Services. This is for our annual Senior Center Innovation Forum. We expect to have about 175 attendees at this event, and this was put out for an informal bid. As Bob mentioned, this will be at the Holiday Inn on Rockside in Independence.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you. And we're on to the consent agenda, 280 to 282. Does anybody have any questions? Are there any questions? None? I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Items on the consent agenda are approved. Is there any other business?
There's no other business at this time.
Is there any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
I move to adjourn. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Nobody really wanted to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.